Ride along each week as we share proven strategies to strengthen your business, energize your team, and create the business success you've been dreaming about. And now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
As a leader, are you a multiplier or a diminisher? Welcome to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up Podcast, where our one and only goal is to help you tune up your business so you can have the long-lasting success and fulfillment that comes from owning a solid, profitable, and sustainable business. Each week, we dive deep into a single topic related to improving your business, improving your team engagement, or improving your relationship with your customers. This week, I want to talk about leadership. And to be a bit more specific, I want to dive into your leadership behaviors to help you determine if there are any opportunities for growth and improvement. You've probably heard the adage that the bottleneck is always at the top of the bottle. It's true for bottles, and it's true for businesses. The bottleneck in growth of any business is the capacity, attitude, and behaviors of the senior-most leaders. I'm not sure who coined the phrase, but the idea that the growth of any business is limited to their leader's mindset is a widely held belief among entrepreneurs, executives, and management experts. And a leader's mindset frames their actions, behaviors, and decisions. So this week, I want to ask you the question: as a leader, are you a multiplier or a diminisher? Now, to answer the question, we probably first should define what we mean by a multiplier and by a diminisher. And for that, I'm turning to the author of the book titled Multipliers: How the Best Leaders Make Everyone Smarter by Liz Wiseman. It's a book I read recently at the recommendation of Zach Evans, a young, energetic, and driven salesperson who happens to be dating my youngest daughter. It's not often I ask for business advice from my daughter's boyfriend, but we happened to have a great conversation recently where the discussion turned into, what books have you been reading lately? To be honest, I was expecting him to say that either he wasn't reading anything or that he was reading some classic sci-fi novel. But to my surprise and delight, he shared with me that he had just read a very insightful book about how to be a better leader. So taking a lead from Zach, I decided to download the Audible version of the book and see what he was learning. As you probably already know, I love reading great business books, but I'm also very picky about where I take my advice when it comes to business and leadership strategy. I had never heard of the book, so I was a bit cautious. But knowing Zach pretty well, I figured if he found it valuable, I should give it a read, and I'm very glad I did. I'm not sure if I ever thanked Zach for the recommendation, so Zach, thank you. This book has been super helpful to me and several of my clients already. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version here today so you can do some self-reflection on whether you're behaving like a multiplier or a diminisher. According to the extensive research done by Liz Wiseman and her team, there are fundamentally two kinds of leaders: multipliers and diminishers. A multiplier uses their intelligence to bring out the intelligence and ability of everyone else around them. They're confident that if they can figure out what someone's naturally good at, they can guide that person towards projects and roles where they can contribute to their fullest. They remove obstacles that are getting in the way of others using their unique genius in the business. They believe that people have to choose to do their best work and come up with good ideas, and they don't believe they can forcibly squeeze performance out of people. They assume everyone can improve if encouraged and challenged, and they create a work environment where others can achieve the impossible. They're capable of making decisions, but would rather open the discussion and debate to allow others to weigh in and help in the decision-making process. They coach, help people learn, and provide resources and support, but they leave accountability with the team and never take over. Does this sound like how you lead your team? Is this how others on your team would describe your leadership style? If so, congratulations. You're firmly in the multipliers camp, which means you're getting on average 70 to 100% of your team members' capabilities. But before you celebrate, perhaps I should define what a diminisher looks like. A diminisher relies on their own intelligence because they think intelligence is a rare trait and they're one of the few individuals who have it. They assume most people aren't very smart or capable and need their help and direction to get anything done. They believe they are the only ones that have good ideas, and as a result, they aren't that interested in the ideas of others, and they demand that others follow their decisions. They're judgmental and assume that they can increase performance by creating stressful, critical, high-pressure environments. The work environment around a diminisher stifles performance, and their team members spend a lot of their energy trying to avoid or not upset their leader. As a result, diminishers typically only get 30 to 50% of their team members' capabilities. Think about that for a minute. The difference in a team member's contribution and engagement is 2 times greater if the leader displays multiplier behaviors. That's like having a machine that's operating at half speed on the assembly line. The output is going to be way down from what's possible if you would simply replace that one machine. And here's the sad part. We all know leaders who display more of the diminisher behaviors, but for some reason, they're tolerated in their role, even while the people on their team suffer and mentally check out. Just after I read this book, I got a call from a senior leader in a business I was not familiar with. They asked if I could come meet with their CEO and their president to discuss how I might help them get more traction in their business. This idea of multiplier or diminisher was fresh on my mind as I walked into the conference room to visit with these 2 key leaders. And it only took 10 minutes or so for me to see that I was sitting in the room with 2 firmly entrenched diminishers. Every time I asked a probing question, they blamed others on their leadership team. Every time I introduced a relevant idea to increase their team's engagement, they shot it down, suggesting their team wasn't capable or wouldn't be receptive. I asked how often they met with their leadership team to resolve big issues in the business, and they made it clear that they were there to execute their decisions, not to participate in making the decisions. As you can imagine, our meeting was pretty short. It became very clear very fast that I was speaking with the 2 smartest people in the business, and there were no other individuals, either on their leadership team or anywhere in the business, who had the capacity or brain power to make their business better. I left the meeting, walked to the office of the person who had invited me to meet with them, and let them know that they were in a hopeless situation. That business was clearly being run by diminishers, and the future of the business was bleak at best. So here are a few questions for you to consider this week. How about you? Are you displaying any diminisher behaviors? Are you trusting your team with big decisions in your business? Or do you have to be the final decision maker on anything that's critical or important? And how about your leadership team? Is anyone on your team behaving like a diminisher? If so, why are you waiting to pull them from their leadership position so that you can increase the output of their team? There's one particular chapter in the book that caught my attention. It's the one where they describe the accidental diminisher, someone who has the behaviors of a multiplier, but accidentally diminishes others. As a part of that chapter, they mentioned that there was a self-assessment tool on their book website, so I promptly took the self-assessment and got my results. I'm not proud to say that my score reflected a moderate tendency to be an accidental diminisher. Ouch. Needless to say, I'm being super aware of how I'm engaging with my clients, my team, and my family. Perhaps you could learn a thing or two as well. And you might be a bit surprised, as I was, that some multiplier behaviors can be accidentally diminishing in certain circumstances. And no one wants to be that leader who thinks they're among the best, only to find out that their best efforts are having a negative impact. Bottom line, this is a book worth reading, especially if you want to get maximum effort from your team and avoid the painful situations where you hire someone into a leadership position who undermines the productivity and creativity of your entire team. As always, if you have specific questions or would like to bounce around some thoughts on this topic, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. Being a great leader is not an accident, and no one comes at it naturally. We all have to be learning and growing in this area, especially if our goal is to build a business that's sustainable, profitable, and fun to own. And share this podcast episode with your fellow business owners. Demonstrate one of the core values of a leader by making those around you better at what they do, even your competitors. Come on, you want business to be a fair fight, don't you? Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss the characteristics of an A team. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, if you have a question, suggestion, or would simply like to connect, shoot me an email at rich@tourtoprofit.com. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources at tourtoprofit.com and connect with Rich by sending a message to rich@tourtoprofit.com. Until next time, ride hard.